ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste my dear friends. Today onward I am making the video with the prints visible. So I start the video with talk number 284. Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi, 18th November 1936. Talk number 284. Devotee. It is said in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, realize the self with pure intellect and also by service to Guru and by enquiry how are they to be reconciled. Maharshi replies, Iswaro Gururameti, Iswara, Guru and self are identical. So long as the sense of duality persists in you, you seek a Guru considering that he stands apart. He, however, teaches you the truth and you gain the insight. Devotee, kindly explain ahameko name kaschit naha mainyasya kasyachit naham pashyami yashadaham tam na pashyami yo mama. I am alone, none is mine, of none else am I see none whose I am, none who is mine. Maharshi replies, this sloka occurs in different scriptures, holy books, for example, Bhagavata, Mahabharata, etc. It also forms the motto of chapter 11 in self-realization. Ahem, I is only one, egos are different, they are in the one self. The self is not affected by the egos. I is one only. I is the truth. All that follows is meant to refuse the sense of duality. Talk number 285. Devotee, if the self be itself aware, why am I not aware of the same? Even now, Maharshi, there is no duality. Your present knowledge is due to the ego and only relating. Relative knowledge requires a subject and an object, whereas the awareness of the self is absolute and requires no object. Remembrance also is similarly relative, requiring an object to be remembered and a subject to remember. When there is no duality, who is to remember whom? Devotee, what happens to the created ego when the body dies? Maharshi, ego is I thought. In its subtle form, it remains a thought, whereas in its gross aspect, it embraces the mind, the senses, and the body. They disappear in deep slumber along with the ego. Still, the self is there. Similarly, it will be in death. Ego is not an entity independent of the self in order that it must be created or destroyed by itself. It functions as an instrument of the self and periodically ceases to function, that is to say, it appears and disappears. This might be considered to be birth and death. Relative knowledge pertains to the mind and not to the self. It is therefore illusory and not permanent. Take a scientist for instance, he formulates a theory that the earth is round and goes on to prove it and establish it on an incontrovertible basis. When he falls asleep, the whole idea vanishes. His mind is left blank. What does it matter if the world remains round or flat when he is asleep? So you see the futility of all such relative knowledge. One should go beyond such relative knowledge and abide in the self. Real knowledge is such experience and not apprehension by the mind. Devotee, why does not Sri Bhagwan go about and preach the truth to the people at large? Mercy, how do you know that I am not doing it? Does preaching consist in mounting a platform and haranguing to the people around? Preaching is the simple communication of knowledge. It may be done in silence too. What do you think of a man listening to a harangue for an hour and going away without being impressed by it so as to change his life? Compare him with another who sits in a holy presence and leaves after some time with his outlook on life totally changed. Which is better, to preach loudly without effect or to sit silently, sending forth intuitive forces to play on others? Again, how does speech arise? There is abstract knowledge unmanifest. From it there arises the ego, which gives rise to thoughts and words successively, so that abstract knowledge leads to ego, to thoughts, to words. Words are therefore the great grandson of the original source. If words can produce an effect, how much more powerful should the preaching through silence be? Just for yourself. Talk number 286. Devotee, why can we not remain in Susupti as long as we like and be also involuntarily in it just as we are in the waking state? Maharshi, Susupti continues in this state also. We are ever in Susupti. That should be consciously gone into and realize in this very state. There is no real going into or coming from it. Becoming aware of that is samadhi. An ignorant man cannot remain long in susupti because he is forced by nature to emerge from it. His ego is not dead and it will rise up again. But the wise man attempts to crush it in its source. It rises up again and again for him to impelled by nature. That is prarabdha. That is both in jnani and ajnani ego is sprouting forth, but with this difference, namely the ajnani's ego when it rises up is quite ignorant of its source, or he is not aware of his susupti in the dream and jagrat states. Whereas a jnani, when his ego rises up, enjoys his transcendental experience with this ego keeping his laksha aim always on its source. This ego is not dangerous. It is like the skeleton of a burnt rope. In this form, it is ineffective. By constantly keeping our aim on our source, our ego is dissolved in its source like a doll of salt in the ocean. Devotee, Sri Ramakrishna says that Nirvikalpa Samadhi cannot last longer than 21 days. If persisted in, the person dies. Is it so? Maharshi, when the prarabdha is exhausted, the ego is completely dissolved without leaving any trace behind. This is final liberation. Unless prarabdha is completely exhausted, the ego will be rising up in its pure form even in Jivan Muktas. I still doubt the statement of the maximum duration of 21 days. It is said that people cannot live if they fast 30 or 40 days, but there are those who have fasted longer, say 100 days. It means that there is still prarabdha for them. Devotee, how is realization made possible? Maharshi, there is the absolute self from which a spark proceeds. As from fire, the spark is called the ego. In the case of an ignorant man, it identifies itself with an object simultaneously with its rise. It cannot remain independent of such association with objects. This association is ajnana or ignorance, whose destruction is the objective of our efforts. If its objectifying tendency is killed, it remains pure and also merges into the source. The wrong identification with the body is de atam buddhi. I am the body idea. This must go before good results follow. Devotee, how to eradicate it? Mercy, we exist in susupti without being associated with the body and mind, but in the other two states we are associated with them. If one with the body, how can we exist without the body in Susupti? We can separate ourselves from that which is external to us and not from that which is one with us. Hence, the ego is not one with the body. This must be realized in the waking state. Avasthatraya, the three states of waking, dream, and deep sleep should be studied only for gaining this outlook. The ego in its purity is experienced in intervals between two states or two thoughts. Ego is like that caterpillar which leaves its hold only after catching another. Its true nature can be found when it is out of contact with objects or thoughts. Realize this interval with the conviction gained by the study of Avasthatraya, the three states of consciousness. Devotee, how do we go to sleep and how do we wake up? Maharshi, just at nightfall the hen clucks and the chicks go and hide themselves under her wings. The hen then goes to roost in the nest with the chicks in her protection. At dawn the chicks come out and so does the hen. The mother hen stands for the ego which collects all the thoughts and goes to sleep. At sunshine the rays emerge forth and are collected again at sunset. Similarly, when the ego displays itself, it does so with all its paraphernalia. When it sinks, everything disappears with it. What does Susupti look like, devotee? What does Susupti look like? Maharshi, in a cloudy dark night, no individual identification of objects is possible, and there is only dense darkness. Although the seer has his eyes wide open, similarly in Susupti the seer is aware of simple nescience. Sri Bhagavan is said to have remarked to an inquisitive person, what is the meaning of this talk of truth and falsehood in the world, which is itself false? 27th November 1936, talk number 287. A Punjabi gentleman, a doctor by profession, came here with his wife to visit Sri Bhagwan. He was in the hall when Sri Bhagwan came in after lunch. Then he asked, how should I meditate? I do not have peace of mind. Maharshi, peace is our real nature. It need not be attained. Our thoughts must be obliterated. Devotee, I have been trying to obliterate them, but I am not successful. Maharshi, the Gita method is the only one for it. Whenever mind strays away, bring it back to bear on meditation. Devotee, I cannot bring my mind to meditate. Another devotee, an elephant when free puts its trunk here and there and feels restless. If a length of chain is given to it, the trunk holds it and is no longer restless. Similarly, mind without an aim is restless. With an aim, it remains at peace. Devotee. No, no, it is all theory. I have read many books, but no use. It is practically impossible to make the mind concentrate. Maharshi, concentration is impossible so long as there are predispositions. They obstruct bhakti also. The interpreter advised the questioner to study who am I. The doctor was ready with his protestations. I have read it also. I cannot still make my mind concentrate. Mercy by practice and dispassion. Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam. Devotee, Vairagya is necessary. Maharshi, Abhyasa and Vairagya are necessary. Vairagya is the absence of diffused thoughts. Abhyasa is concentration on one thought only. The one is the positive and the other the negative aspect of meditation. Devotee, I am not able to do so myself. I am in search of a force to help me. Maharshi, yes, what is called grace? Individually, we are incapable because the mind is weak. Grace is necessary. Sadhu Seva is meant only for it. There is, however, nothing new to get. Just as a weak man comes under the control of a stronger one, the weak mind of a man comes under control easily in the presence of the strong minded sadhus. That which is only grace, there is nothing else. The questioner said, I request your blessing for the good of myself. Bhagwan said, yes, yes. He left with his wife 29th November 1936, talk number 288, explaining Maya of Vedanta and Swatantra of Pratyabhijina, independence of recognition. Sri Bhagwan said, the Vedantins say that Maya is the Shakti of illusion premised in Shiva. Maya has no independent existence. Having brought out the illusion of the world as real, she continues to play upon the ignorance of the victim. When the reality of her not being is found, she disappears. Recognition says that Shakti power is co-equal with Shiva. The one does not exist without the other. Shiva is unmanifest, whereas Shakti is manifest on account of her independent will, Swatantrata. He Her manifestation is the display of the cosmos on pure consciousness. Like images in a mirror, the images cannot remain in the absence of a mirror. So also the world cannot have an independent existence. Swatantra, Swatantra becomes eventually an attribute of the Supreme. Sri Shankara says that the Absolute is without attributes and that Maya is not and has no real being. What is the difference between the two? Both agree that the display is not real. The images of the mirror cannot in any way be real. The world does not exist in reality. Vastutaha. Both schools mean the same thing. Their ultimate aim is to realize the absolute consciousness. The unreality of the cosmos is implied in recognition, pratyabhijna, whereas it is explicit in Vedanta. If the world be taken as a chit, consciousness, it is always real. Vedanta says that there is no nana, diversity, meaning that it is all the same reality. There is agreement on all points except in words and the method of expression. 30th November 1936, talk number 289. While discussing karma, Sri Bhagwan said, karma has its fruit phala. They are like cause and effect. The interrelation of a cause and its effect is due to a Shakti whom we call God. God is phala data, dispenser of fruit. A visitor had been speaking of the self having forgotten its true nature. Sri Bhagwan after some time said people speak of memory and oblivion of the fullness of the self. Oblivion and memory are only thought forms. They will alternate so long as there are thoughts. But reality lies beyond these. Memory or oblivion must be dependent on something. That something must be foreign too. Otherwise, there cannot be oblivion. It is called I by everyone. When one looks for it, it is not found because it is not real. Hence, I is synonymous with illusion or ignorance, maya, avidya, or ajnana. To know that there never was ignorance is the goal of all spiritual teachings. Ignorance must be of one who is aware. Awareness is jnana, jnana is eternal and natural. Ajnana is unnatural and unreal. Devotee, having heard this truth, why does not one remain content? Mercy, because sanskaras have not been destroyed. Unless the sanskaras cease to exist, there will always be doubt and confusion. Sandeha viprita. All efforts are directed to destroying doubt and confusion. To do so, their roots must be cut. Their roots are the sanskaras. These are rendered ineffective by practice as prescribed by the Guru. The Guru leaves it to the seeker to do this much so that he might himself find out that there is no ignorance. The truth mentioned is in the stage of the hearings of the truth, sarvana. That is not Darda, firm, Drid, firm. For making it unshaken, one has to practice reflection, manana, and one pointedness, nididhyasana. These two processes scorch the seeds of vasana so that they are rendered ineffective. Some extraordinary persons get dridha unshaken knowledge even on hearing the truth only once. Sakarcharvana matrena, because they are karthop, karthopasakaha, advanced seekers, whereas the arthopasakaha, raw seekers take longer to gain dridha jnana, unshaken knowledge. People ask, how did ignorance, avidya, arise at all? We have to say to them, ignorance never arose, it has no real being. That which is only vidya knowledge. Why then do I not realize it? Mercy, because of the sanskaras, however. Find out who does not realize and what he does not realize, then it will be clear that there is no avidya, ignorance. Talk 209. Mr. Sagarmal, a Marwadi gentleman, a cotton merchant from Bombay, seems learned in Srimad Bhagavata Gita. He asked, Srimad Bhagavad Gita says Mataha Prataram Nanyat Kinchit and later on Sutre Manigana Iva. There is nothing different from me, and later on, like beads strung on a thread. If there is nothing but Sri Krishna, how can the world be said to be like beads on a string? Maharshi, it means that the sutra, string, and the money, jewel beads are not apart from me. There are no Manigannaha, row of beads, apart from the string sutra and no string apart from me. The sloka emphasizes unity and not multiplicity, which is only on the surface. Devotee unity can only be after merging into Bhagwan. True, but till then there must be diversity, that is samsara. Maharshi, where are we now? Are we apart from Bhagwan, the samsara, and we are all in Bhagwan, devotee? But that is the experience of the jnanis. Differentiation persists until jnana dawns. So there is samsara for me. Maharshis, Sanskara, predisposition is samsara, cycle of births and deaths. Devotee, right, all this is Vasudeva. This truth has been forgotten by us, so we cannot identify ourselves with God. Maharshi, where is forgetfulness? Devotee, like Sabopna. Mercy, who's Swapna? Devotee, Jivas. Maharshi, who is Jiva? Devotee, it is Paramatma's. Maharshi, let Paramatma ask then. Devotee, I shall make my doubt clear by means of an illustration. Maharshi, whoever wants the doubt to be illustrated and made clear, direct experience. Pratyaksha does not require examples for elucidation. Devotee, there is pratyaksha and also forgetfulness. Maharshi, what is forgotten and by whom? Devotee, listen, one dreams, the dream world disappears on waking. Maharshi, wake up similarly from the present dream. Devotee, Prakriti, nature is too powerful. Maharshi, see the Purusha, Lord also. What can Prakriti do then? Devotee, there is a Granthi note between them. Maharshi, whose is that note? Is it of the Lord or of nature or of both? Devotee, due to Brahma. Maharshi, then Brahma must ask for or must be asked, to whom is Swapna or the note? You are always saying, I ask, who is that I? Devotee, I do not perceive. Maharshi, I is eternal. It would vanish if it were anything particular. It is perfection, so it is not found as an object. Devotee, but I am imperfect. Mercy, what brings in imperfection? Why are you not perfect? Did you feel imperfection in your sleep? Why do you not remain so even now? Bring sleep into the waking state, Jagrat Susupti, and you will be alright. Ya Nisa Sarva Bhutanam. Parshato Munyeh. That which is night for the ignorant is day for the wise. Devotee, yes. If he is Muni, says Maharshi, who is a Muni? Is he not a man? Devotee, do you not feel a slap if given to you? Is there no differentiation? Is it jnana? Maharshi, a man under chloroform or under the influence of drink does not feel it. Is he a jnani? Is jnana inconsistent with that feeling? Devotee, there is a seer, seen and sight. They are not characteristic of jnana. Mercy, in sleep, in trance, in absent mindedness, there is no differentiation. Do you call it jnana? What has happened in these states is that which then was absent now, that which is exist forever. The difference is due to mind. The mind is sometimes present at other times absent. There is no change in the reality. Reality is always bliss, ananda. Devotee, bliss is the outcome of practice. What is that practice? Maharshi, sadhana is the inquiry to find out to whom all these doubts arise. Devotee, it is for the ego, ahankara. Maharshi, where from does ahankara arise? Devotee, guidance is necessary to show me the way. Mercy, go within and find the root. You cannot find it from without, nor should you seek it externally. Devotee, I am unable to find the ego by search, I stop there. Maharshi, how can you get it? It is not apart from you. Leave alone not finding it. Where are you now? Do you mean to say I am not? Devotee, what or how am I? Maharshi, do not trouble yourself about it. Let it be as it is. Why do you care? Did you care for the whole or part? Samasti Vesti. In your sleep, the same person is present now too. You are the same in sleep and in waking. Devotee, sleep and waking are different states having different effects. Mercy, how does it matter to you? The self is the same all through. Devotee, the mind is not steady in meditation. Maharshi, whenever it wanders, turn it inward again and again. Devotee, when dukha, misery overpowers me, inquiry is impossible. Maharshi, because the mind is too weak, make it strong. Devotee, by what means? Maharshi, Satsanga, Ishvara Aradhana, Pranayama, association with the wise worship of God, breath control. Devotee, what happens? Maharshi, misery is removed, our aim is removal of misery. You do not acquire happiness. Your very nature is happiness. Bliss is not newly earned. All that is done is to remove unhappiness. These methods do it. Devotee, association with the wise may strengthen the mind. There must also be practice. What practice should be made? Maharshi, yes, practice is necessary too. Practice means a removal of predispositions. Practice is not for any fresh gain, it is to kill the predispositions. Devotee, Abhyasa, practice should give me that power. Maharshi, practice is power. If thoughts are reduced to a single thought, the mind is said to have grown strong. When practice remains unshaken, it becomes sahaja, natural. Devotee, what is such practice? Maharshi, inquiring into the self, that is all. Atmanaya vasam nayayate. Fix the mind on the self. Devotee, what is the aim to be kept in view? Practice requires an aim. Maharshi, Atma is the aim. What else can there be? All other aims are for those who are incapable of Atam Lakshya. Having the self for the aim, they lead you ultimately to Atma Vichara, inquiry into the self. One pointedness is the fruit of all kinds of practice. One may get it quickly, another after a long time. Everything depends on the practice. Devotee, peace is extolled more than anything else. How shall we gain it? Maharshi, it is your very nature. Forgetfulness never overtakes the self. The self is now confounded with the non-self, and that makes you speak of forgetfulness of the self, peace, etc. Oblivion will never rear up its head if this confusion is put an end to. Devotee, how is that done? Maharshi, inquiry into the self. One pointedness means cessation of mental activities. Forgetfulness must be for the self. Well, of what? Of the self. Are there then two selves? Practice removes the sanskaras. Devotee, how is that done? Maharshi, inquiry into the self. One-pointedness means cessation of mental activities. Forgetfulness must be for the self. Well, of what? Of the self. Are there then to self-practice removes the sanskaras, devotee, but sanskaras are infinite and eternal from beginningless time. Maharshi, this itself is a sanskara. Give up that idea and all sanskaras will disappear at once. That is Visranti, repose, Shanti, peace. Peace is ever present, but you hold it down and rise over it and thus disturb it. Then you say, I want peace. Devotee, will peace be gradual? Mercy, yes, make the mind gradually still. Sanasyanhe upar Uparamate, says the Bhagavad Gita. After some time, the visitor asked if one Mr. G had been here on or about the 20th instant he himself had heard of Maharshi from him. Mr. G was full of joy after his visit here. Maharshi, how can I know the names of all the visitors? He might have been here, all are full of joy. There is no name, no form. Name is, however, needed for Avivahara empirical life. 5th December 1936, sparks from the anvil to talk number 291. Question, how you spoke of Apyas, Apyasrama beyond the asramas, beyond the orders of life the other day. Is there any authority for it? Is it mentioned anywhere? Maharshi, yes. In the Upanishads, the Sutta Sahinta, Sakanda Purana, Bhagavata, Bharata, and other works. Question, are there any restrictions or discipline for that state? Mercy, there are characteristics of it mentioned. Question, there are gurus for each asrama. Is there a guru for Apyasrama? Mercy, yes, but question, but you do not admit a guru. Mercy, there is a guru for everyone. I admit a guru for me also. Question, who is your guru? Mercy, the self. Question, for whom? Mercy for myself. The Guru may be internal or external. He may reveal himself internally or communicative externally. Question, can the Apyasramis own property? Maharshi, there is no restriction for them. They may do what they please. Sukha is said to have married and begotten children also. Question, the Atyasarmi is like a householder in that case. Mercy, I have already said that he is above the four recognized asramas. Question, if they can marry, own property, etc., they are only grestas. Mercy, that may be your view. Question, can they own property and convey the same to others? Maharshi, they may or may not, all depends on their prarabdha. Question, is there any karma for them? Maharshi, their conduct is not regulated according to any rules or codes. Question, when visitors want to stay here, say 2 or 3 days, do they take your permission? Mercy, the permission from the management is permission from me. The visitors come here for me. The management is for me. Wherever there is mutual agreement, I do not interfere. When visitors come here and I admit them, will others dare go against my wishes? My consent is implied in the actions which take place with mutual goodwill. Sri Bhagwan was shown a stanza in his own handwriting in praise of himself as Subramanya. Sri Bhagwan said that the handwriting was his own, whereas the ideas were Perumal Swami's. Question, But do you not agree with the statement made in it, Maharshi? In the same way as an idol is praised as a Subramanya. 13th December 1936, talk number 292. In reply to a question, if Tanmatras are the operating factors in dreams. Sri Bhagwan said no, Tanmatras are Sukshma, subtler than that. Although the dream creations are subtle as compared with the gross world of the wakeful state, yet the dream creations are gross compared to Tanmatras. Tanmatras after Panchikarna give rise to the form of the Antahakarna, inner organ mind, thereto by the different sets of operating causes influenced by sattva, the predominance of either akasa, it gives rise to jnana, knowledge whose seat is the brain. Vayu air give rise to manas mind. Tejas light gives rise to buddhi, intellect. Jala water gives rise to chitta, memory, etc. Prithvi earth gives rise to ahankara, ego. They are samasti collective for the reason that they can operate collectively or individually with any or all of the senses or organs. By Rajoguna, they are changed to Gyanendriyas in the Vyasti, individual by Tamoguna to Karmendriyas in the Vyasti, the individual. The relation between the external world and the individual now becomes easy because the Tanmatras are common to them. The Tanmatras proceed from Prakriti. The statements on creation differ considerably. There is mentioned Yuga Patrishti, simultaneous creation, and Karma Srishti, gradual creation. The significance is not emphasis on creation but on the original source. Talk number 293. Mr. KKV Iyer, there is no way found to go inward by means of meditation. Mercy, where else are we now? Our very being is that. Devotee, being so, we are ignorant of it. Mercy, ignorant of what and whose is the ignorance? If ignorant of the self, are there two selves? Devotee, there are no two selves. The feeling of limitation cannot be denied due to limitations. Mercy, limitation is only in the mind. Did you feel it in deep sleep? You exist in sleep. You do not deny your existence then. The same self is now and here in the wakeful state. You are now saying that there are limitations. What has now happened is that there are these differences between the two states. The differences are due to the mind. There was no mind in sleep, whereas it is now active. The self exists in the absence of the mind also. Devotee, although it is understood, it is not realized. Maharshi, it will be by and by with meditation. Devotee, meditation is with mind, and how can it kill the mind in order to reveal the self? Maharshi, meditation is sticking to one thought. That single thought keeps away other thoughts. Distraction of mind is a sign of its weakness. By constant meditation, it gains strength. That is to say, its weakness of fugitive thoughts gives place to the enduring background free from thoughts. This expands, devoid of thought is the self. Mind in purity is the self. Sri Bhagwan continued in reply to the former questioner. Everyone says, I am the body. It is the experience of the sage as also of the ignorant. The ignorant man believes that the self is confined to the body only, whereas the wise man believes that the body cannot remain apart from the self. The self is infinite for him and includes the body also. Mr. Bose said that he felt peace in his presence which lasted some time after. He added, why is it not enduring, Maharshi? That peace is the real nature. Contrary ideas are only superimpositions. This is true bhakti, true yoga, true jnana. You may say that this peace is acquired by practice. The wrong notions are given up by practice. This is all. Your true nature always persists. These flashes are only signs of the ensuing revelation of the self. In reply to the first questioner, Bhagavan said, the heart is the self, it is not within or without. The mind is its Shakti. After the emergence of the mind, the universe appears and the body is seen to be contained in it, whereas all these are contained in the self and they cannot exist apart from the self. 14th December 1936, talk number 294. Mr. Mr. Parkhi, how is meditation to be practiced? Maharshi, meditation is truly speaking Atma Nishtha, to be fixed as the self, but when thoughts cross the mind and an effort is made to eliminate them, the effort is usually termed meditation. Atmanishta is your real nature. Remain as you are. That is the aim. Devotee. But thoughts come up. Is our effort mean to eliminate thoughts only? Mercy, yes. Meditation being on a single thought, the other thoughts are kept away. Meditation is only negative in effect inasmuch as thoughts are kept away. Devotee, it is said, Atma samastam manah kartava, fixing the mind in the self, but the self is unthinkable. Mercy, why do you wish to meditate at all? Because you wish to do so, you are told. Atma samastan manah kartva, fixing the mind in the self. Why do you not remain as you are without meditating? What is that manah mind? When all the thoughts are eliminated, it becomes Atma samastaha. Atma samastha, fixed in the self. Devotee, if a form is given, I can meditate on it and other thoughts are eliminated, but the self is formless. Maharshi, meditation on form or concrete objects is said to be dhyana, whereas the inquiry into the self is vichara, inquiry or nidhi dhyasana. Explaining Abhyaropa Pavadhabhyam, superimposition and its elimination. Sri Bhagwan pointed out that the first turns you inward to the self, and then according to the second you know that the world is not apart from the self. 16th December 1936, talk number 295. Mr. Natwarlal Parekh, a Gujarati gentleman who had attended the International Religious Conference as a delegate from Baroda, came here on a visit. He is a young man, well groomed, alert, and quite conscious of his well earned merit. He presented a note containing some questions to Sri Bhagwan. Devotee, pray help me realize Atma, Paramatma, Satya Chit Ananda. Mercy, Atma, Paramatma, Satya Chitananda mean one and the same thing, that is the self. The self is eternally realized, otherwise there will be no pleasure in it. If it is not eternal, it must have a beginning. What begins will also end, so that is only transient. There is no use seeking for temporary state of affairs. The fact is that it is the state of effortless, ever alert peace. Effortlessness while remaining aware is the state of bliss, and that is the realization. Devotee, I do not want intellectual answers. I want them to be practical. Maharshi, yes, direct knowledge does not require intellectual discourses since the self is directly experienced by everyone. They are not at all necessary. Everyone says I am. Is there anything more to realize? Devotee, it is not clear to me. Maharshi, you exist, you say I am. That means existence. Devotee, but I am not sure of it. That is my existence. Maharshi, oh, who then is speaking now? Devotee, I surely, but whether I exist or not, I am not sure. Moreover, admitting my existence leads me nowhere. Mercy, there must be one even to deny the existence. If you do not exist, there is no questioner and no question can arise. Devotee, let us take it that I exist. Mercy, how do you know that you exist? Devotee, because I think, I feel, I see, etc. Mercy, so you mean that your existence is inferred from these. Furthermore, there is no feeling, thinking, etc. in sleep, and yet there is the being. Devotee, but no, I cannot say that I was in deep sleep. Maharshi, do you deny your existence in sleep? Devotee, I may be or may not be in sleep. God knows. Mercy, when you wake up from the sleep, you remember what you did before falling asleep. Devotee, I can say that I was before and after sleep, but I cannot say if I was in sleep. Maharshi, do you now say that you were asleep? Devotee, yes. Mercy, how do you know unless you remember the state of sleep? Devotee, it does not follow that I existed in sleep. Admission of such existence leads nowhere. Mercy, do you mean to say that a man dies every time that sleep overtakes him and that he resuscitates while waking? Devotee, maybe God alone knows. Mercy, then let God come and find the solution for these riddles. If one were to die in sleep, one will be afraid of sleep, just as one fears death. On the other hand, one courts sleep. Why should why should sleep be courted unless there is pleasure in it? Devotee, there is no positive pleasure in sleep. Sleep is courted only to be rid of physical fatigue. Mercy, well, that is right. To be free from fatigue, there is one who is free from fatigue. Devotee, yes. Mercy, so you are in sleep and you are now too. You were happy in sleep without feeling, thinking, etc. The same one continuing now. Why are you not happy? Devotee, how can it be said that there is happiness? Mercy, everyone says, Suk, Sukham aham swapasam. I slept happily or was blissfully asleep. Devotee, I do not think that they are right. There is no sukha, bliss. It is only absence of sorrow. Mercy, your very being is bliss. Therefore, everyone says I was blissfully asleep. That means that one remains in the primal uncontaminated state in sleep. As for sorrow, there is no sorrow. Where is it in order that you might speak of its absence in sleep? The present wrong identification of the self with the body has given rise to all mistakes. Devotee, what I want is a realization. I do not feel my inherent happy nature. Mercy, because the self is now identified with the non self. The non self too is not apart from the self. However, there is the wrong notion that the body is apart and the self is confounded with the body. This wrong identity must be ended for happiness to manifest. Devotee, I am unable to help myself. The engineer suggested surrender to the master. Devotee agreed. Myself, Maharshi, your nature is happiness. You say that is not apparent. See what obstructs you from your true being. It is pointed out to you that the obstruction is the wrong identity. Eliminate the error. The patient must himself take the medicine prescribed by the doctor in order that he may be cured of his illness. Devotee, the patient is too weak to help himself and places himself unconditionally in the hands of the doctor. Maharshi, the doctor must be given a free hand and the patient must only remain quiet without saying anything. Similarly, keep quiet, that is effortlessness. Devotee, that is the most effective medicine too. The other questions which he wrote down were, Devotee, convince me of the existence of God. Mercy, realization of the self amounts to such conviction. Devotee, how is prarabdha, past karma, related to purusha karma, purushakara, one's own effort here? Maharshi, prarabdha is karma action. There must be a karta doer for it. See who the karta is. Purusha karta is effort. Puruskarta is effort. See who exerts. There is identity established. The one who seeks to know their relation is himself the link. Devotee, what is karma and rebirth? Maharshi, see the karta doer and then the karma action becomes obvious. If you are born now, rebirth may follow. See if you are born now. Devotee, help me to have Jyoti Darshana, vision of light. Mercy, Darshana, sight implies Drashta, seer. Find him and Darshana, sight is included in him. Talk number 296. Pawan, a shepherd, says that he knows Sri Bhagwan since 30 years ago, the days of Virupaksha caves. He used a time to supply milk to the visitors in those days. Some 6 years ago, he had lost a sheep for which he was searching for 3 days. The sheep was pregnant and he had lost all hopes of recovering her because he thought that she had been set upon by wild animals. He was one day passing by the ashramam when Sri Bhagwan saw him and inquired how he was. The man replied that he was looking out for a lost sheep. Sri Bhagwan kept quiet as is usual with him. Then he told the shepherd to help in lifting some stones, which he did with great pleasure. After the work was finished, Sri Bhagwan told him, go this way, pointing the footpath towards the town. You'll find the stray sheep on the way. So he did and found the lost sheep with the two little lambs. He now says, what a Bhagwan is this? Look at the force of his words. He is great. He never forgets even a poor man like me. He remembers my son Manik come also with kindness. Such are the great ones. I am happy when I do any little work for him, such as looking to the cows when they are in heat. 18th December 1936, talk number 297. Mr. Cohen asked, meditation is with mind in the Jagrat waking state. There is mind in dream also. Why is there no meditation in dream, nor is it possible? Mercy, ask it in the Dream. After a short silence, Sri Bhagwan continued, you are told to meditate now and find who you are. Instead of doing it, you ask, why is there no meditation in the dream or in the sleep? If you find out for whom there is Jagrat waking, it will be clear that dream and sleep are also for the same one. You are the witness of Jagrat waking, Swapna dream and Susupti sleep. Rather, they pass before you. Because you are out of meditation now, these questions arise. Stick to meditation and see if these questions arise. 23rd December 1936, talk number 298. A certain visitor formulated a question saying that meditation is more direct than investigation because the former holds on to the truth whereas the latter shifts the truth from untruth. Maharshi, for the beginner, meditation on a form is more easy and agreeable. Practice of it leads to Atma Vichara, which consists in shifting the reality from unreality. What is the use of holding on to the truth when you are filled with the antagonistic factors? Atma Vichara directly leads to realization by removing the obstacles which make you think that the self is not already realized. Talk number 299. Mr. T.K.S. Iyer asked Sri Bhagwan about the source of sound. Mercy, the general happiness is that para sound comes from the Mooladhara, the solar plexus at the bottom of the spine. All sounds beginning from Vakra thought form are contained in para, which proceeds from Kundalini, and Kundalini is not different from the heart. In fact, the whole Sadhara, sixfold center, is contained in the heart. The Susmana with its source Kundalini is included in the heart. A visitor asked about Antrena Talukaya Sandriyoyinaha. Maharshi, Indriyoni together with the Susumna Nadi is contained Lina in Para. 25th December 1936, talk number 300. A Brahmachari youth who has graduated in science has been waiting here for grace for the last 4 or 5 months in order that some job might drop on him like a ripe apple from the tree. He has been making no other efforts to secure a job. His brother yesterday came here to take him away to his parents, but the youth declined to go. An appeal was made to Sri Bhagwan. Sri Bhagwan said, I do not tell anyone to come nor ask him to go. Everyone pleases himself here. He says he finds peace in the hall and he also wants a job. Evidently, the job must be found in the hall itself so that his peace may not be disturbed. Peace is not in the hall, it is in the repose of the self. It can be gained anywhere. Some days later, the youth threw away his sacred thread and appeared before Sri Bhagwan with his limbs shaking, which the young man later described as his bliss ananda. Sri Bhagwan told him not to make a habit of sitting in front of him in the hall and ordered him out. Furthermore, he continued, even a fledgling is protected by the parent birds only till such time it grows its wings. It is not protected forever. Similarly, with the devotees, I have shown the way. You must now be able to follow it up and find peace wherever you are. The young man thinks that Sri Bhagwan gave him Upadesha in the following words: the self, that is, ego, must be subdued by oneself. The man, however, has refused the offer of a job to him in one of the local schools and thinks that he has been given a mighty job by Hill or by Sri Bhagwan. What that job is, the world will know later, he says. He had further anticipated all these days' occurrences some months ago and had foretold them to his mother and to his friends. He is further happy At the happenings, Sri Bhagwan, however, compared him to another man who is in no way of the right type, and yet the boy thinks that he is Bhagwan in embryo. Later he turned mad and died. So I end this video here. Thanks a lot, my dear friend. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. The video number 18 will start with talk number 301. Namaskar, my dear friend.